This landscape bed I'm just now cleaning up. It needed it big time. And the wintertime is a perfect time to get some urgent things done in your gardens or landscape beds that you won't be having time or energy to do as soon as spring rolls around. Key to this is getting the roots. See, I just pulled all the root up. That's how you gotta get these perennial weeds. And I like to just throw it somewhere like in the yard or something. It'll just mulch down and turn into soil. There you go. These dead tops, just pull those out. How's it going, everybody? How's it going? So today I'm going to be sharing about wintertime care of landscape beds. I realize there's a lot of folks out there who have a landscape beds, but it kind of feels vague and not really understood what we should do in the wintertime for our landscape beds. This is our family farm. We have a beautiful cabin here. Have this landscape install. In the springtime it really is popping, but right now most things are dormant, and I just wanted to share a few tips and tricks for what to do in the wintertime to make sure your landscape beds are ready for spring, ready to jump out there and get growing. There's a few things that if you do now will save you time and effort down the road. We're going to be cleaning this bed up, and this long bed in the front, primary bed around in the house here. So we'll be cleaning all these up. Here we are around this landscape bed, and you might already notice there's a few things that need to be taken out. You know, things are not looking so nice and trim. There's a few things you notice right off the bat. What I'm noticing is 3 different things need to happen, and they're all going to start with P, just so you can remember them. You got pull and plant and prune, those 3 P's. We need to be able to, whoa, there's Josh. What's up, man? How's he doing? He's crazy. So you got pull. Go in through your beds and pull out the weeds that don't need to be there. This is a critical thing to do because a lot of the weeds are perennials that we are dealing with, so they have a taproot, and they're going to be there in the spring unless we pull them now. Also, it's going to help to be able to see those perennial weeds right now because you don't have a bunch of annual weeds that are popping up from seeds. So if you can get them now, then that means that you're going to be able to target those weeds that have been a pest a long time before they shoot up and then produce a seed head, which means you're going to have a ton more of those weeds. So go in and pull out those perennial weeds that you already can see right now. As most things are dormant, it's the time to do that. I'm just tossing this stuff in the pasture because it's just going to decompose and add to the grass that the cows eat. All of these would have produced seeds in the spring, which would have meant we had a lot more to deal with next year. So getting them right now is the key. Success. See how we got all those roots? That's the way to do it right there. Right now it's also a great time to prune. We have some azaleas here, and I'm looking at how, see this azalea right here, it's kind of growing towards this other azalea. Don't really want them to grow together. So a few of these I'm going to have to trim right here so that it can grow straight up and be its own independent plant. I'm just going to trim those right back at the base so that if the plant really wants to, it can shoot new growth right from the base. There you go. That's all it took. You want to prune in the fall, winter, or early spring because those plants are actually dormant. They are done growing for that growing season. I'm just looking right here for dead branches to prune those off. So they are dormant. That means that all of the sap and energy and nutrients are down in the roots primarily. So that means that if you cut this top growth, you're not stealing that much of the plant's potential to regrow and to spring out in the springtime. So it's doing the least amount of damage while also removing that plant material that you don't really want to have. I'll just compost these. Also, like here's a hosta right here. Part of pruning is picking these out, removing the dead tops of these perennials. So like right here is a catnip plant. And the catnip is going to grow back from the original roots right there in the springtime. You can already see there's a little bit of a growth right here. I'm going to go around and cut all this dead out so that it's ready for spring to just shoot right up nice and fresh. See that? It's going to grow right from the roots going down in, but then all these nodes are right there right next to the base. So therefore you can take all the rest of the top off and be fine. You'll have new growth in the spring. So that's how you take care of these more perennial flowering plants. It is alive. See how this is alive? But I like to go ahead and take the big top off. That way you just have fresh growth for springtime. There we go. Nice and fresh. Ready to pop out in the springtime. Isn't this moss cool? I think it looks awesome. Super cool. We got these rocks from the forest and this moss has continued to grow on them. I would even say that getting weeds out right now, these perennial weeds, is urgent because if we don't get them now, guess what? All those seeds are gonna be popping out. We're gonna have some serious more weed problems the next spring or even next year. So get those out right now. The best thing is gonna be to go through and pull out all your weeds because that means you're getting all of the roots. But if you don't have the time, or let's say you have a big landscape bed, you haven't mulched it in a while and you're getting a lot of weeds, I would go through with one of these guys. This is a hoe that has two sharp sides on it. This one's got some mortar on it. I don't know how that got there, but basically it has two sharp sides so you can pull and push. That's a way to quickly go through a bed and take out most of the perennial weeds. Now you're not really getting all the root, but if you can go deep enough, you can get most of the root. Just push down and pull. It goes right underneath. Touch the roots. Make a little pile right here. That's all it takes. Pull these all together. There we go. Go in here. Check out the mulch. Voila. Just cleaned it up pretty quick. There you go. Situation like this, where we're really close to some creeping Jenny right here and some Majuga, we don't want to pull those out. So I'm going to selectively come in here and pull these guys. But thankfully there's not too many. We got some henbit right here. See the henbit? It's a big time spring weed that pops out around here. Take the henbit out. Like I said, this is pretty urgent because you're trying to get it out before it goes to seed. So we these out. See these asters come in here and all I do is that right there. Cut them off, cut them, whatever you want to do. But pulling these out is actually fairly urgent because if you do that, so what could happen, and this is why it's urgent, is if you allow your perennials that grow like this, that the top growth is still alive to a degree, that means that that part of the plant is going to try to produce as well, and it's just not going to be a beautiful plant. It's going to have more dying, decaying material that's growing. But if you trim it back to the original source of the roots, that means that all the growth that comes out is fresh and green and beautiful. So I recommend going in and cutting out the dead, if that's how the plant grows, is from the roots. Like 5 minutes. Voila! Now those are looking fresh. Doesn't that just look better? I think it looks better. All this fresh growth is coming from the roots, from the origin, and that's gonna look good. It's just gonna flush out in the spring. Same thing with these lilies. Come in, pull out this. This is not quite as urgent because the lilies are not really restricting the growth of the rest of the plant, but you might as well pull it out just to keep the bed looking fresh. There we go. See, that looks better already, doesn't it? There we go. Looking good. Last, final, third P would be to plant. Things you want to plant in the winter time Really, fall is best for planting like bulbs for tulips, even garlic you can plant, and those are going to be best for the kind of later fall. But you still have time to go ahead and plant whatever bulbs you're thinking you want to have. They'll come up, just not quite as good, but go ahead and plant them, because you're not going to want to be doing that as soon as spring comes, because they are not going to have time to do what they need to do to be the awesome plants they want to be. But yeah, there we go. We have it all done other than that pile of debris right there. That's done. Looking good, looking good. Those beds are now happier. What needs to be pruned has been pruned, and the perennials have been clipped. We don't have anything to plant today, but if we had bulbs to plant, we would have planted them. And we pulled the weeds that we needed to pull now, so that later they're not so much of an issue.
And then go to the ones that say you more out of your.
Y'all, we're gonna leave. We gotta leave to go back to the city. But man, just look at this place. It's gorgeous. So pretty. Well, guys, I guess this is it. It's been a good time to be home. We gotta go, we gotta go. Hard to leave sometimes. As John Wayne said, a man's gotta do what a man's gotta do. There we go, it's all cleaned up. Most of the weeds have been pulled. The plant's pruned. And then we would have planted if we had anything to plant, but we don't. So, but you got it. I'm gonna grab this last bit of brush, take it out, and we'll be good. Friends, that is how you take care of your landscape beds in the winter time. 3 tips, and really it is going to be important to get those things done, because you know you don't want to get behind time. So let's get ahead and get those done. There you go, folks. Those are the 3 tips I've got for you today. It's a beautiful day, beautiful cabin. Wish didn't have to go back to the city, but we do. Home sweet home. It's a beautiful place. I'll see you guys next time on the Garden Guy channel for more tidbits and tips for gardening, edible landscaping, all things growing and green. Catch you later. Bye.